Hello wonderful people, it's Maria here. This is really just going to be a vlog style of my rhinoplasty / septoplasty experience. I am going to be showing me in like different states of mind, different physical states. I think that is really important because it shows you essentially what the reality of surgery is, and especially like a plastic surgery, because it's so stigmatized. You know, people think, oh, you just do this because you're really superficial about your looks, and that's really not it. So I'm going to just kind of dive in right now into why I am having to get this surgery and my whole growing up experience with having a deviated septum. And yeah, this is really chill because I'm sitting on the floor. Get comfy. All right. At 6 years old, I remember because I was a little munchkin, I was a little clumsy munchkin, I was running around the house, probably tripped on a rug or something, and I fell face first on the tile floor. I remember this because of the intense pain that followed, and I don't know if I was just a really big toughie back then, or maybe it was like fourth child syndrome, but I didn't go to the doctor, I didn't go to the hospital for this bad fall. I had a black and blue bruise, like a line right here on my nose bridge, for like a week or two afterwards. I remember it was pretty dark, it was like purplish blue, and it showed that obviously something happened, like there must have been a fracture, because that doesn't just happen randomly. It's usually if you break something or if you really misplace something. I just didn't get treated for it. So when you break your nose and you don't get it treated, it basically heals on its own, but that doesn't mean that it heals correctly. The doctor was not concerned when I went in for something else, and my mom, I think, asked him about the mark, the bruise. He's like, oh no, you know, there's nothing we can do. And that's true. For a 6-year-old, you don't do a CAT scan, you don't do surgery, so nothing happened. Now I want to say I was like 11 or 12 when I started to notice a little bump, especially on the left side of my nose. You know, kids look so cute because they have the chubby cheeks and the perfect nose because all the fat's there and it just looks normal and chubby and cute. But as you get older, you kind of start to notice the more like detailed crevices of your face. You start to get like the nose that your parents have, whatever it is. So I started to notice this sharp bump right here. And I was like, that's not right. So I brought it up to the doctor, my general care physician, and it didn't go anywhere. He didn't really listen. I probably wasn't adamant about it enough because even though I kind of expressed some concern about it, it wasn't really intense at the time. I didn't have any pain. I probably had breathing issues already much sooner, but because I didn't really know any different, being so young when I hurt myself, I just didn't know any different. So I didn't think my breathing was abnormal. Now fast forward to age 16. By now I'm starting to get really insecure because the fat has gone down on my face enough to where it's a pretty sharp bump. And of course at that age you're hypersensitive and you're hyper aware of everybody's eyes on you. It's called the spotlight effect. You think everyone's watching you all the time. That's why you're so insecure. Looking back at photos from my teen years, it's not really apparent that I was insecure and lacked confidence, but I do still remember how it felt. Aside from acne and body image struggles, my nose was the main thing that made me feel inadequate, that kept gnawing at me. I knew deep down that people didn't notice, or even if they did notice, that they didn't care. Regardless, I would take pictures of only half my face, or try to block my nose in some way, whenever possible. But apart from the looks, I was also having some pain. So I would notice that when I'd get headaches, it would also kind of hurt right here on my nose bridge. And I kind of was like feeling my nose. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like something is off. So I brought it up to my doctor again when I had a viral infection, a really bad cough that actually sent me to the hospital when I was 16. And I brought it up to him. I was like, you know, I'm getting an x-ray on my chest. Is it possible to also get one for my nose? Because it's been bothering me for a long time. And I hurt myself when I was younger and I think something's off. And again, he ignored me. I don't want to place blame on anybody, but I just don't think that doctors listen to young women sometimes. A lot of experiences that women have about male doctors especially, like not listening to them when they bring up a concern. So I don't think that I was really listened to, but I guess he had other things to do and I had a more pressing issue. So at that time I did not get a CAT scan or any type of checkup for it. Now later that year I was diagnosed with acid reflux by an ear, nose, and throat doctor. So I had to get the whole numbing spray and the camera stuck up my nose and down my throat. It was real fun. I remember my parents were there and they also kind of backed me up on it. I said, you know, I have this problem with my nose. It doesn't feel like it's right. It's kind of hurting me. It doesn't look good. You know, I hurt myself when I was younger. And he kind of said, he looked at it and he's like, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Definitely seems like something's off, but if you want to get it fixed, you have to wait till you're 18 because that's when your nose will be fully grown. And once you get that surgery, it will be cosmetic. You're going to have to pay out of pocket for it because it's not a medical procedure, meaning it's not for medical reasons. But again, discounted the pain, whatever. So I literally, at that point, I kind of just said, I'll just forget about it. Of course, I didn't forget about it, but I was like, if no doctor is going to really back me up on this or ask me about it, then what's the point of constantly bringing it up? So I kind of just gave up. I also had to wait till I was old enough anyway. And so for years, I just focused on school. I was really insecure about it. I would get the headaches, the pain, the breathing issues, but I was just, you know, I had to focus on school. I had to focus on college. I went to community college after high school and then transferred to university. I didn't have time. I also got glasses when I was about 19, so that kind of masked the bump and made me feel a little bit less insecure, although it did make the headaches worse. So finally, the year 2020, I'm 22 years old, I realized I'm not prioritizing myself and I'm not doing the things that I need to get done for my own well-being. And I was like, you know what? One of those things that's been bothering me for years is this nose issue. I said, you know what? I'm going to find a general care doc who listens to me, who refers me to an ear, nose, and throat physician, and I'm going to get my surgery. Speak things into existence. It is a real thing. I actually finally got listened to. This incredible physician through my insurance did listen to me, and he wrote down things. He asked me the right questions, and he said, yeah, for sure, we need to get this checked out. You shouldn't be suffering anymore. And then I had to actually get referred to an ENT myself because he referred me to like 2 or 3 people and none of them worked out. The thing that you should know when trying to find a surgeon for this kind of stuff, it's really tricky, especially during COVID. It was also some of those really esteemed physicians and surgeons had a really long wait list, and then some of them required that you get a CAT scan on your own prior to actually getting scheduled. I think it was like my 4th attempt. I made a list of 10 doctors and I called every single one. And I was also sick with strep throat at the time, but I was still making these calls because I'm like, no, I'm not going to let anything else stand in the way. And finally, I got the right doctor. So when the lockdown started, that's essentially when I had my first appointment. My strep throat had still not fully healed. So I had the appointment to see the doctor. I got there, I made the long drive, and then they sent me home. They said, well, if you had strep throat this past week, you know, even if you've been on the antibiotics, you can't be seen by him right now because we're being very strict about that. So I'm so defeated. But they said, okay, he's going to call you in for a phone appointment in like a half an hour or something. I'm not kidding you when I say that this doctor was so reassuring even over the phone. He's just got this like really reassuring voice. Listened to me, he asked me a lot of questions, same thing, like really making sure that I'm comfortable and heard. He ordered a CAT scan for me. I went and got that scan, and then when I finally saw him for a follow-up appointment like 2 or 3 weeks later, because of COVID again, I got to see the results with him. So he showed me these pictures, and I kid you not, I almost cried because I finally saw what it looked like, and it was incredible. When I got the piece of paper from the CAT scan back, I saw the words, marked deviation to the septum. Marked meaning severe or significant. And I was like, I have a deviated septum. Oh my God, like that's what it is. I could finally put a name to the thing that had been bothering me for so many years. It felt incredible to actually have that. I kind of showed everyone. I was like, oh my God, look at this picture. Look at this crazy scan. Anyway. So that was a huge sigh of relief, and it was something that I wasn't sure if I would ever experience because I was so used to being told no. If there's something that's really bothering you and you have been told no, you have been kind of shot down, you don't really know what to do, if it's something that's really bothering you, you need to follow through. There is almost never going to be a circumstance where everything goes perfectly according to plan and everything is sorted out exactly as you thought in your mind that it would. Now, I did just have my pre-op appointment, and I got this patient information booklet. So I have all the information about the surgery, the medication I'm being prescribed, all of that. And I just wanted to read a couple of the things that he wrote down, like what is going on in the procedure and the operation. So it says open treatment, nasal fracture, graft, autogenous, bilateral something, can't read it, resection, turbinates. He said the turbinates on either side of my nose are really inflamed, so they're gonna reduce that. Bilateral infracture, turbinate bone, repair nasal vestibular stenosis, and septoplasty. So this is the part where I kind of show you guys after my coffee break. Hold on. I love a vanilla latte, you guys. So I'm gonna come up close and personal and show you what my nose looks like. It might be a little bit masked because I have makeup on, but you can still see. So, okay, this is so close and weird. All right, so from the front, you might not be able to see much, but you probably can see a little bump right here. And it's especially on the left side, right? So if I go even closer, you can see that. And then if I were to like pull the skin back, do you see how sharp that is? From this side, you can also see it. It's not as bad on this side, but yeah, that's what it looks like. Okay, that's my nose, yay. Always hated my side profile, but it was really because of the deviated septum, right? So what he's going to do, what all those scientific words meant, they're basically going to shave down the bump on either side and in the middle. And then they're going to take cartilage. He said I have really, really strong cartilage in the tip of my nose. It's actually like kind of bigger. It's like really strong cartilage. And they're going to take some of the cartilage from there and put it here to reshape and restructure the nose so that it's straight. And then he's also going to be taking down the tip a tiny bit because they're taking the cartilage and putting it there. They're going to be reducing the tip a tiny bit so that the profile looks more feminine and appealing or whatever. You can see, like, if this wasn't a thing, it would look really straight. I just realized that in those previous clips, I'm really only talking about the cosmetic and the visual aspect of the surgery. There is so much more that happens beneath the surface with basically changing the shape of the septum so that I can actually breathe correctly, reducing those turbinates so that they're not inflamed, and essentially fixing a fracture that happened when I was younger. I just really don't know how to explain all those things in perfect medical terminology, so I kind of just stuck with what was a little bit easier. Oh, and something I almost didn't mention is that this is covered by insurance. So the doctor that said that it was just cosmetic wasn't right. I think he had good intentions, but he was wrong. This is covered by insurance. We just have a copay. It's not as much as I was afraid that it would be. You know, rhinoplasties can cost anywhere from like 8 to 10 grand. So it is a septoplasty, but there's also aspects of the surgery that make it a rhinoplasty. So because he's kind of reducing the tip, putting cartilage up here, so it's like cosmetic and medical, obviously, but the medical part is the main focus. He basically said that it's very unlikely that they're going to have to break my nose. If they do, then that adds to the recovery time, to the pain level, and then that's how you get like the bruises right here around the eyes. If they don't have to, then I won't have that much of a dramatic look. So basically he's going to be putting a cast on top of the nose bridge for 1 week. They're putting sutures, you know, they have to stitch everything, and 2 silicone splints. Now he said that he trims them down so that it's more comfortable for the patient, but essentially, you know, they have little holes to breathe out of. It's not as bad as like gauze packing. So in the past, and maybe some surgeons do it, but it's not really like the best right now, is they'll pack the whole nose with gauze. But now that there's been like kind of medical improvements, they don't need to do that anymore. So anyway, today is Tuesday, my surgery is on Thursday, and my COVID-19 test results come back tomorrow. So my only concern is that my test result comes back positive and then I can't get the surgery this Thursday and then it has to be postponed, which would be so frustrating because I don't really have the time any other time. So this is part 1 of, I think I'm going to do 3 videos. So in part 1, I'm basically describing my rhinoplasty and septoplasty needs, like why I need the surgery. Then part 2 is kind of like more of a vlog style of leading up to the surgery, all that kind of stuff. And then part 3, I want to say, is me finally being healed and kind of talking to the camera, much happier, everything's over with, everything's done. And hopefully in 3 parts, everything will get covered so that no one video is super long. I want it to kind of be like digestible. And I don't know how many people are gonna watch this. I really have low expectations, but I thought if my experience can help somebody else out there feel like a little less alone, or maybe somebody has a similar experience to me and it would feel really good to hear someone else talk about it, that's essentially why I'm doing this. I just think that if your experience can help somebody, then why not put it out there?